Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
Welcome to the Not Watching Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and this week I'm joined by
Ian Bruce
and Marcus Hurley.
So there's been some other big movies out at the actual cinema over the last few weeks. Me and Marcus have both seen Independence Day Resurgence. What did you think about that, Marcus?
It was silly fun. It was everything I expected and more, kind of. I mean, when I saw the first film, I was a 16-year-old kid. And
it was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Oh god. And I wanted to just sit in the cinema, and I'd never experienced anything like that because it was a local cinema for me. They just re-kitted out the sound system and stuff, and it was just I was sitting in the seats and they were shaking, and the whole room was shaking with these ships flying over, and it was fantastic. And it's one of the best cinema experiences I had, and made me want from then on to go and see more.
I mean, it was
cheesy as hell, but hey.
Yeah, I mean, at the time it came out, I guess the only thing quite like it was Star Wars, and that was years before.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like quite a big event, that movie. We'd never seen all those landmarks demolished in quite that way, and there was some kind of really cool sci-fi sequences and dogfights and stuff. I went back and watched the original.
It had everything. It was like Top Gun meets, I don't know, Aliens and everything else, with that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of played off little bits, like when you had the alien suits and they had the tentacles and all the steam sort of coming in, so you never really saw what they looked like or anything else. And it played off a lot of sci-fi movies like War of the Worlds as well and stuff like that. But that was just the first film. So second one, I don't think they needed to try and better it because people kind of had expectations. As long as we see some more dogfights, some more aliens, some really big spaceships, and some stuff blowing up, they kind of check the boxes.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I was really interested in seeing in this movie was that it was set in a world where all that devastation had happened and 20 years had now passed, and how that world would be depicted. And so what we've got in this new movie is a world that has used a lot of the alien technology to advance themselves a little bit further ahead than we are. We've got bases on the moon, a solar defense system, and and a whole new cast, I guess, of people that have grown up.
And Jeff Goldblum.
And Jeff Goldblum, who is probably not in the film enough.
And his dad, which I thought was awesome.
And his dad, who's still in it, is still alive. There's loads of people in the original movie that are dead now.
I know.
Like the Secretary of Defense and Vice President. Those guys aren't with us anymore.
No.
And so we've got a Hemsworth, the Liam Hemsworth one, Liam version. So we've got Liam Hemsworth in there, and we have this time around Bill Pullman, who played the president in the first film, is pretty much playing the role that Randy Quaid played in the first movie, as in
the crazy old man.
I'm the crazy guy who's going to fly into the fucking ship and save everyone, sort of spoilers. But that's kind of his role in it. And there's some. Oh, and Brent Spiner, who plays the mad scientist in the first movie, he's like, I thought he died. He was definitely on the floor at the end of the first one. He definitely wasn't cheering at the end with everybody else.
Turns out he was in a...
So he's back. There's another species of alien in this. I don't want to spoil it too much.
There's certainly a bit of, I've used this phrase already, but it's certainly a bit of, I'll say, universe building, not world building. They're kind of expanded lore, I think, would be the term.
Well, I mean, I like the world building in it, the whole, like, where we are now.
There are some fantastic bits in it, though, that just made me chuckle. Like I said, obviously you might have seen from the trailers, the ships they've got now are powered by alien technology. So they've harnessed it and harvested it. Yeah. I also love the fact that some of the ships, the city-sized ships, were still on the ground, sort of wrecked, because obviously you've taken them out, and like you've got in deepest, darkest Africa, and there's a spaceship there, just sitting there. And the same with the one in Nevada was still there.
Speaking of that, though, in all the world-building setup, there are references to, like, guerrilla warfare happening in the intervening years with the aliens that had crashed on our planet. And I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to see any of that. I mean, had they made a film sooner than 20 years, maybe we would have seen a bit of that. But maybe that's something they could go back to.
But Falling Skies is basically that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah. I was thinking like that could be like a TV show, but yeah, like that would probably be Falling Skies.
But they didn't want to get trapped in that, because they did the same with War of the Worlds, didn't they? There was a TV series that went on for a while. In which they did that pretty much the same thing. But yeah, there was one bit in there that really made me laugh. It was a bit where they were giving like I think it was like, because it was 20 years ago since they defeated the aliens, and they're doing like a big speech and like a parade with the jets flying over and everything. And there was this massive television screen, as they have on these shows, so that you can see what's going on in the podium. But it was being held up by alien anti-grav. And it was just at the bottom of the screen. It just made me chuckle. And it just made me go, yeah, that is a massive screen. This thing, if it fell, would be the size of a building falling on people. But it was the fact that it was just floating.
Yeah, that's all the stuff that I liked. All that sort of like subtle, like, this is a bit different because we've had a big event, world-changing event. I didn't really miss Will Smith not being there. I found him a little bit cheesy in the original anyway, punching the alien and stuff. There's something like that in there, but it didn't bother me too much. I thought I came out with a smile on my face. I enjoyed my time with the movie, but it's definitely not must-see. I can appreciate anyone having an interest in it based on the original movie of our age, probably, especially. But
it's definitely cheesy popcorn, no-brainer sort of thing. Yeah,
it's definitely not as good as some other films that have come out this summer.
One thing I would say though, I did like the fact that which was obviously going to be the pseudo replacement for Will Smith's character. I do like that they wrote him in as the boy. The son of the stripper girl that he was seeing in the first film.
Yeah, and she's in it too.
And she's in it. I didn't. For a bit. That shocked me. I was thinking, well, that got dark.
That was
very
pretty
quickly.
like Mars Attacks level sort of.
She's in it. And then let's put it this way. She gives a very good sinking performance.
Yeah.
But
doesn't go down well.
No.
Whereas she used to, is that what you're saying?
Well,
probably.
I don't know, maybe.
It's always she worked.
Anyway,
terrible.
Okay, so Ghostbusters. I saw this last night. This is Paul Feig's reinvention of the 1984 classic. I think we can all agree.
Yep.
I watched the first two last week just to sort of reacquaint myself with what I should be, just to realign my expectations, because it is one of those films that came out a lot when I was of a very impressionable age. It was one of the first films I think I saw at the cinema. I think the soundtrack was the very first vinyl I bought. So all that said, I don't hold it in the same regard as like Star Wars or any actually good movies. Like I know it. The original Ghostbusters still holds up. The chemistry of those guys, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, et al. It's brilliant, and I really enjoyed rewatching both movies. Even the second one, which is clearly a retread and not as great or as original as the first one. So this is a reboot by Paul Feig. It does not acknowledge those original films at all, apart from the copious references throughout. It does not acknowledge that there were a former set of Ghostbusters or that any paranormal phenomena ever occurred in New York before. So and so this is starring Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy, and So it could almost be viewed as a sequel to Bridesmaids, because it's the same team involved and it's very much the same humour. And I had a good time overall. I think that kind of delivery, that kind of filmmaking lends itself really well to the whole Ghostbusters mythos. They are setting it all up again from scratch. With that comes far better special effects. If there's one thing that has dated those original movies, is the effects are woefully bad. They are hilariously awful. But it can get away with it because the rest of it's still a funny movie, and the whole thing is crazy, and Sigourney Weaver and etc. And they're all in it, apart from Harold Ramis, obviously cannot be with us.
Is Weaver in it?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Jesus, cool.
She is in it. Janine's in it.
Excellent.
God,
I don't think
really?
Rick Moranis is in it, actually, now I think about it. But everyone else shows up, even if it's just for like a token cameo. They're not playing the same characters, obviously.
Right.
But they do pop up. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man shows up. Slimer shows up. They've got the car. There's the way they get to the base where they were before. It's the same building, but it's some very funny setup involved there. Obviously the effects look great. They've got better gadgets now. They've got bombs and things that suck people in, and they have a lot of fun playing around with that. And Chris Hemsworth is actually very funny playing their complete idiot secretary. And so there's a lot of humour to be had there. But I appreciate, it's getting some very mixed reviews, this film. I think a lot of people maybe hold the original in higher regard than I do. I've always thought about it as a bit of a disposable comedy caper, really.
It's a zany couple of hours, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and that's all it is. And so to get all kind of precious about it seems a little bit redundant.
But then I suppose there are people that have said the same thing about Star Wars.
Or superhero movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Horses for courses.
Yeah.
I cannot complain. But I cannot complain about anyone having a problem with this movie if they're really, smitten with the originals.
Yeah. Well, I think I might give it a shot, to be honest. I'm not one of the people. I always said that I found the trailer really bad. I thought whoever cut the first trailer needed to do something else in life, maybe.
I think it was just a bit of a shock to the system,
I just
really.
thought it really showed... No, it picked all of the unfunny lines. It was very shouty dialogue. It didn't do anything to represent the film or even show much of the film. It just felt like a really bad advert for a stand-up comedy night, which wasn't funny because they picked really weird bits of dialogue. And which was weird because you say it doesn't reference anything else, but yet in that first trailer, it fired everyone up by saying 20 years ago they saved the world. Yeah, so they directly kind of say that, it's almost like a sequel or something like that, which I'm guessing, which is what triggered a lot of people. I
mean that's just poor marketing. To me,
that's what I mean. They've kind of
set it up that way because it's nothing. Yeah. But
I'm glad you said that.
It made me laugh a lot. It made me jump a few times. Like I said, the ghosts look fucking excellent. Some of them just look ridiculous. But I had a good time with it, so I'd recommend it personally.
Okay.
Another film I would highly recommend that hasn't had as wide a release as anything we've mentioned so far, but that would be Tale of Tales. And after I've talked about this, I don't care what else we talk about because this is my movie of the year so far. It's fantastic. Basically, it's directed by Matteo Garrone, who previously directed a gangster movie called Gomorrah. But this is a completely different thing because what this is it's 3 European folk tales all stacked on top of one another, but they're not told like anthologized one after the other. They all take place in the same world, and so they will cut between them. So it's 3 neighbouring kingdoms. Each one involves like royal family. One of them is Toby Jones, who's obsessed with this flea, and he does some absolutely incredible acting with this flea.
I do like Toby Jones.
That gets bigger. And then there's another king played by Vincent Cassel, who hears down in the village one day this beautiful singing, and he must meet with this person, but he's at quite a vantage and cannot see that it's an old crone that's singing, and so that kind of spins off into its own thing. And then the final one involves Salma Hayek as a queen who is infertile, and is told by an old man that she must devour the heart of a sea monster in order to give birth. And so they all kind of spiral around in their own different ways. It's not for the faint of heart. I don't know. It's an R-rated movie. I don't know if that means it's an 18 or whatever, but basically it goes up to 11 in some of the ways that some of those dodgy French horror films have. We're talking like flaying and
like Martyrs.
That level, yeah.
That's not dodgy. That's how they do it.
It's horrific though, considering that the rest of it almost seems like it could be in a Tim Burton movie. This is kind of goes the extra mile, you know.
Well, it's good, isn't it?
Well, it is, and that's kind of, I guess, the main thing that makes it sort of appeal so much to me. It's a bit of an obscure reference, but I don't know if you ever remember a TV show in the 80s or early 90s with John Hurt called The Storyteller, which Jim Henson with the dog by the fire. Yeah. You know, those kind of stories that were just so kind of interesting because they start off like Jack and the Beanstalk, but then go somewhere else entirely.
They end up like Alien.
Yeah, quite. I mean, there's sequences in this movie that are reminiscent of the Terminator, like pursuit sequences. Sometimes it reminded me a bit of those, you know, like City of the Lost Children, the Jean-Pierre Jeunet sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I cannot emphasize enough how awesome this is. It didn't get a wide release. It's available on Curzon Home Cinema. I don't know if it's still available on Curzon Home Cinema, but it's probably going to be out on DVD very soon anyway. It's actually on Amazon Video, actually. I'm looking at it now on IMDb. I think you can rent it. I don't know if you can...
Stand by, looking now. Sorry, what was it, Tale of Tales?
Yeah, you can pre-order it. I think you can... Yeah, you can rent it for £8 on Amazon.
Oh.
So, yeah. But absolutely recommend that. So, yeah, I mean, there's a couple of other films I've seen. I don't know if anyone has got anything else they want to mention. Getting a bit monologue-y here. That's what happens when you've got a limitless card.
I was going to say, with your limitless card, I think you've probably watched the most films out of all of us.
Yeah, probably.
No, I've really been absent.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll carry on.
I did see the first Conjuring, actually.
Oh, you saw the first Conjuring?
Yeah, I did.
This will lead me in quite nicely. I saw it as well quite recently because I went to see the sequel. But let's talk about the first one because I'm glad I caught up on that.
Yeah, there were one or two notes on that really kind of hit home with me because I had an experience when growing up in which the flat I lived in was possibly haunted.
Oh,
so
really?
One or two of the things that happened in that film really sent shivers down my spine because it was like I was reliving some weird events, like the bit where she goes to the staircase in the middle of the night and then you hear the massive, ridiculous number 11 spike sound of everything crashing to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
That happened in my flat. There was this massive wall unit which couldn't be tipped, was literally hanging off the wall, held in by the bit of string that you put at the top of furniture, and all my mum's plates and everything else was on the floor.
Oh, mental.
And this thing could not be tipped forwards. It was literally like, you imagine a double chest of drawers at the base and then a single bookshelf height. So you can't tip this thing forward. So we don't know how it happened or anything else. But yeah, the flat got double excised by a priest and she's still living there and everything's fine now. We've had light bulbs exploding. We've had light bulbs staying on when the electricity grid for the area has been shut off for maintenance.
Right.
There are lots of weird things going on.
Write all this down and sell it to Film 4.
I wouldn't say I'm a believer, but definitely I can't fully explain what the hell was going on there.
So who are you going to call? Who are you going to call?
Jesus Christ!
I'm gonna move away to Essex, which is what I did.
Well, it's funny. That's exactly where the real life Ghostbusters, Ed and Lorraine Warren, go in The Conjuring 2.
Oh.
They go to Enfield because The Conjuring 2 is basically another retelling of the Enfield haunting.
Nice.
Because that's basically what they've set up. It's James Wan who did this. He originally did the first Saw movie, and so he's directed both of the Conjuring movies, and it looks very much like they're trying to set this up as a horror franchise, and I don't mind them doing that if they carry on at the quality they are.
If they go around all of the various types of hauntings that have been in things for a while, then it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool idea. I mean, apparently they're a real life couple that went and did all these, that investigated all this phenomena. They were widely discredited, though, apparently. And
I do love I did love in the first film where you saw the real people and the real case files.
Yeah, they do that again. They show you all the original photos from the Enfield haunting and stuff. The one thing that's hilarious about the second one, the Enfield haunting, is that I don't know any place in England that has a basement in a semi-detached house that big, because it's like almost like they couldn't find one, so they had to just build one themselves, because complete with leaky drain pipes, and you could probably fit an orchestra down there. It's like that's not in England. Sorry. So I found that quite amusing. But no, I think they're quite good. It's a really odd film actually, because they really do portray that couple as like heroes. And there's even a sequence where he's playing like an Elvis song on guitar, like to this family, trying to calm them down or something. I watched the first one at home in the morning. I had a week off a few weeks back and thought Conjuring 2's got some good reviews. I'll check that out. And the first one I just watched at home, and it was daylight, and it was like, pretty creepy, but I can deal with this. The second one, watching it in the cinema, I was absolutely terrified. I nearly shat on your myself. Own with? I just went on my own. Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Went after the gym. I was like, I'll be fine. I think there was a few other people in the cinema, but it was in the big Odeon one screen, I was like, there was no one else on my row, and it was like, I was just shaking.
I saw 7 at the cinema on my own on a weekday afternoon when nobody really knew what it was about.
Oh my god.
Including you.
Yeah, that scarred me for a number of years, that did.
Yeah. Especially when outside and saw a random cardboard box.
Yes. It was, that was sad fuck. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen a horror film that's really shaken me. But like, I do enjoy it, but I'd rather share that experience with someone else, to be honest. It's kind of like, I sort of immediately felt a bit shit, like not being able to come out and talk to somebody about like what I just dealt with. Yeah. But it totally reminded me, because I just haven't been to the movies to see a horror movie for so long, because so many of them either don't get shown round my way or aren't very good, apparently. They're just your usual Paranormal Activity number 7 or Saw 20, and it's actually got quite a lot going for it as a horror
the paranormal
franchise.
Ones, I think they're meant to get under your skin. They're very monotonous.
I really like the paranormal ones,
because I saw the second one, which was like the prequel.
Yeah,
I saw that in the cinema, and that messed me up for a number of days.
Was that Annabelle?
No, Paranormal Activity.
Sorry,
The Conjuring. I saw the second one in the cinema with like some friends, and you're very bored, and it was okay, and got through at the end, and a few jump scares. It wasn't until a couple of days later when you start hearing random knocks and stuff around, and you're on your own. That's when it gets you. That's what these films are designed to do. Yes. You turn your own subconscious against you. And it was basically The Ring all over again. where I was just like staring at cupboards going, don't you dare burst open. Don't you fucking dare. Don't you dare. No, I'm leaving the room. I'm going to leave the room now. I definitely... Because I was having this conversation with John, who sadly couldn't make it today. And he was saying, like, do you watch horror films, Rob? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I mean, I like horror movies, but there's just so many I hear bad things about that I just don't get round to them.
The bad things you hear about them, are they that it wasn't scary or that it was just a bad film? Because sometimes people say things are bad when they scare them very much.
Yeah.
I think it's because a lot of them are relying purely on jump scares, and there's no kind of there's no like deeper sort of creepiness to it. Because I like a little bit of like your Guillermo del Toro sort of. I like the Halo, which was about like all those. I don't know if I mentioned it on here before, but that was all about sort of fairies, but really twisted, like growing through the walls of the house and stuff.
Right.
That sort of stuff really appeals.
Did you like It Follows?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did like that too. I like a lot of those ones that came out. Like there was like a spate of them, like a couple of years back, that were all kind of very, kind of almost metaphorical. And I know a lot of horrors like that anyway.
Yeah.
But that was all about sex, wasn't it? And then you had the Babadook, which was
Dark Skies as well. I've quite enjoyed that.
I don't know if I saw that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I saw that one.
Did I see that?
I'll tell you another one. There's another one that's set in India. Behind the door or something like that, or behind the closed door, and it's about this woman who lost her child, and basically a woman tells her that she can speak to the soul of her child through this door, but you'll never.
That's not the woman who walks alone at night.
No. It's literally called. Oh god, let me look it up. But yeah, it's really good. I did not expect that to be set in India. And that was another one that was pretty. It was kind of okay. It was your standard sort of possession and everything else going on. But yeah, it was because it was set somewhere else. It was slightly different. Gave it a slightly different feel to it in the end.
There's a horror thing starting on Netflix this week called Stranger Things or something.
Okay.
Yeah, or Stranger Than or something.
Winona Ryder's in it. Looks quite good. Okay. Bit 80s, bit Amblin in there apparently. I'm going to give that a look.
I think the thing about horror films also, if you watch a lot of horror, you do find yourself a little bit desensitized to it.
Yeah, they can get a bit tropey, can't they, as well? Like
extremely
tropey. It's like my other half
too.
She loves horror films, and she could probably write a few short stories on them. But it takes a lot now for her. Because you almost become a bit detective. You can't help but start putting it into a box, saying, "Oh, it's one of those, so it's probably this, it's probably that, it's probably this or that."
Who's gonna survive?
Well, it's like when we were watching The Conjuring. I was freaking out, and she literally just looked at me, and I'm going to admit it on podcast, so the only listener can hear it. I did actually cower behind her shoulder at one point. But she then turned around and went at me, and I went no, because I knew in about a month's time there's this little game that plays in that film in which it's sort of like you clap your hands and it's like a hide and seek sort of thing.
Oh yeah, in the first one. Yeah, that's so creepy.
And I knew that at some point when the flat is dark, she would do that. She would hide and she would wait and she would scare the shit out of me by doing that. So I literally had to say, no, you're not doing that, not ever, and she burst out laughing. But
there's a new one coming out soon where you can only see people when you turn the lights off.
Oh fuck!
Yes, that looks really good.
Yeah.
Oh my god! What
is that?
That looks really cool.
Is it called Lights Out? Lights Out, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah. Is that the two that go into the guy's house?
When her little brother Martin experiences the same events that once tasted.
There's another one where there's a couple robbing a guy. It seems a bit more like Wolf Creek. A couple are robbing a blind guy's house, but then discover that things are not as they seem, and it might be torture porn. I'm not sure, but it looks pretty good for what it is.
Cool.
Hush. It's called Hush. That one.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I've seen that advertised. Are we done with horror for now? I've got one more movie I wouldn't mind mentioning. Yep. Cool. I did get to see The Nice Guys. This one is currently one of my favourite films I've seen this year. This stars. It's written and directed by Shane Black, and it stars Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling as a unlikely team of private investigators who basically are just idiots, and it's Russell Crowe and several pies under his shirt too, He's playing. He's actually not the most incompetent one. Ryan Gosling is falling all over the place, proper slapstick. It's Shane Black. The last thing he wrote, of course, was Iron Man 3, which had some weird little turns in it, and this one has plenty of them too. People die that you wouldn't expect to. It's very dark. It's very funny though, and it's all set in the 70s, so it's got kind of a cool aesthetic to it, and it's like, and it's got Kim Basinger in it as well, so I've got getting shades of LA Confidential transposed a few years later, which is pretty cool. I'd definitely recommend that. Not anything you really need to see in the cinema, I would say, but it's done all right though, I think, and a sequel would be great. Like more of them two doing that, please. I'd like to see it again.
Nice.
So I just thought I'd mention that. That's definitely worth seeing. Because Shane Black wrote he wrote loads of sort of classic stuff like Last Boy Scout and
Predator. Did he write Predator?
He did, and he's doing a new one.
He's doing a new one.
Yeah, which is apparently not a reboot.
No. It's called The
cool.
Predator. It's just like, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it really. I've seen quite a lot of movies. I didn't see Warcraft in the end. I just heard too many bad things about it.
Did you see Warcraft, Marcus?
I saw most of it. I had to leave the cinema.
The end, then.
Well, I had to go to the toilet. I couldn't hold it anymore. So I missed the last bit. That'll learn me. But I'll wait for it to come out on DVD. I didn't miss much. I think I used some points or something to see it anyway, and it was 2D. I thought, But yeah, from what I saw of it though, I'm wondering why I was there, because I know nothing really about Warcraft. I thought this would be cool. Yeah, I turned up, I watched it, and I thought, kind of reminds me of a sci-fi film with orcs and humans. Fairly interesting story, you know. Okay. Some dark magic, some light magic, some people, female orcs, humans, wars, fighting.
Yeah.
It seemed okay. It seemed very much. It reminded me a little bit like Game of Thrones with Sam going to the library. There's an element in that. When I saw Game of Thrones, I thought, it's like Warcraft, but with more class. But which is probably a bit of a weird thing to say. Yeah, I can't really give a review on it. I just thought it was quite average. Okay. I'd wait for a DVD, or if it comes on TV or something, or on Netflix.
I will probably wait for a DVD
Netflix.
Of it myself.
I have no rush for that at all.
No.
Well, the thing is, basically, my attitude is, it's fair enough if, like, the usual movie crowd diss it. I'm like, that's fine. I kind of expect it from them. But when, like, the game magazines start dissing it too, I'm like, this really can't be for anyone that I couldn't even imagine.
Well, let's put it this way. I will be watching the remainder of Dexter before I watch the end of this.
Lesser of two evils.
Jesus.
Jesus, there are other things that are really good to watch.
I guess it might be like an OCD thing. I feel as though because I'm watching it and because Castle's gone, this is my protest vote to the world.
I think it would be worth watching. I know we're gently ribbing you for putting yourself through it, but I think you get an understanding of where all the hate comes from.
I do need to see it. I mean, I know the ending. People have said the ending, but I kind of need to watch it, and then I won't watch it again because it's done. It's done and dusted, you know. And then I can get onto things like Better Call Saul, whatever. And I feel as though I've rekindled that whole 2000 year of TV, and it's all nicely packaged away. And I could say, I watched those shows. I've got a valid opinion on them. Rather than going, I watched 2 seasons of it.
There's a website called IMDb Graph, or graphtv.kevinformatics.com, which basically sketches out like a line graph of the quality of television shows.
Wow.
And, you can see here that for the benefit of those that can't see this, when it gets to season 8, it just falls off a cliff. And that was kind of it.
At its highest point, the average rating was 9.8. That's in season 4, which I think most people will agree is the pinnacle. That is the best season of Dexter.
Yeah.
And it started at an 8.8 or 8.4 or something. And the last episode, bless it, has a rating of 4.8, which I believe is fucking generous by everybody.
Yeah, I know that.
I didn't even notice that one down there, to be honest. I didn't even notice that one down there.
Yeah,
some people
it's
must
so
have
far away from everything else. It's not.
It's just no correlation to it. It's just.
It's like it's fallen off completely.
Yeah, it's. I think it would be good to watch just so that you can be sort of in on the joke. And
this is awesome.
Watch it kind of gloriously burst into flames and die.
If I'm honest, I'd quite like to know when you think because now that you know how bad it's going to be, it'll be quite interesting to see or to hear from you when you think, oh, and now I don't think it's going to get any better. Because I think
surprised.
Even I was looking in that last season. I was still, even at the start of the last episode, I was still thinking maybe it'll be all right. Until the storm. I'm not even going to say it again.
We kind of started this entire podcast with an episode where John hadn't seen it, and me and Ian had, and we devised a multiple choice quiz to see if he would guess how fucking badly out of control it got. Yeah.
Oh,
so it was only a little one.
Did it not so much as jump the shark as jump into the Sharknado?
Yeah, it kind of got in the shark's mouth and just let it tear itself to pieces.
Full on Sharknado with it. Just thought, I'm going to surf this shark in a typhoon whilst punching other sharks in the face.
Yeah, Jesus.
Anyway, sorry, I'm looking at Sons of Anarchy actually on that site, and I thought Sons of Anarchy, that felt like work. It really did when I was watching.
It's quite interesting, that site. It doesn't work for all of them.
No.
It doesn't work for all of the shows that you'd think, but a lot of like Breaking Bad and Game of... I don't know if it goes all the way up to the latest Game of Thrones. I should imagine that's fairly a straight line.
Did you do Castle?
Yeah, Game of Thrones only goes up to... Oh no, it does do 6. 6 is doing well. Let's just say.
Castle's okay. Castle's alright.
Castle...
Castle did okay. Yeah. I agree with the last episode being down there.
But it's not as far down there as the Dexter one is.
No. It's very wide arc, isn't it? It's not really quite hitting those peaks that Game of Thrones is. Really.
Yeah.
But no, I've nerded out on that website a few times.
Yes.
I'll put a link in the show notes. Yeah.
I think that's the episode, one of the best episodes penned. Hell to Pay, I think. Season 8, episode 21, I think. That's the one, and it's very much a homage to The Omen. Fantastic episode.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, got all misty-eyed now thinking about Castle.
This has been the Not Watching Podcast in partnership with notlistening.co.uk, where you can also hear myself and Ian talk about video games and virtual reality on the Not Playing podcast, and Adam, Ash and Will talk about all manner of funny things on the Not Listening podcast, if they ever record again. You can email us at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com. You can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod, and you can find the show notes for this show at notlistening.co.uk. If you're listening to us on iTunes, please do give us a review, and that's all for now. Thanks for listening. See ya.
Bye.